Welcome to CAD Lesson 1 at Professional Land Systems. I'm Ned Ferguson. You're going to look for the Carlson Civil Suite 2024 icon right in the middle of your screen. It may say 2025 by the time you get around to it. When we upgrade, double click it. It will start your CAD program. Waiting for it to load. The drawing I am going to be working on is 4C 1024. It's already here in my queue because I had it opened earlier. But if you want to open a particular file, you go here to Open Files and you browse for the drawing. Double click it. And I will have pre-prepared drawings to work on. So what we're looking at here is some preliminary data. We've done some deed plots. We have surveyed points in here which simply come in as point nodes with descriptions. Sometimes they'll have elevations on them if those are important to what we're doing. They're not for this job. As far as navigating around, you're going to be able to zoom in and out with your mouse wheel, and you can pretty much navigate wherever you want to. That's all I'm doing is just zooming in and out. You can pretty much navigate as you like by doing that. Just recentering the screen, zooming in and out, you can get to various points. But if you like, you can also use pan, which is P on your keyboard. Right click is enter, and you can pan around wherever you want. Right click again to exit that command. So I'm going to pan again, right click. I'm going to pan over and I'm going to zoom out to a blank spot on my drawing. Of note is that the space bar and enter serve the same functions on your keyboard as the right click on your mouse. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes I'll execute a command using the right click. Sometimes I'll do it with my keyboard, just as the mood suits. There are many different ways to do things within the CAD program, and just whatever suits your inclination is the way you ought to do it. Whatever is comfortable for you. So we're going to go through a few basic commands and creating geometric figures to start with. First will be L for line. I just clicked, entered L and hit my space bar. That starts the command. You're going to left click to begin drawing. Left click again to continue drawing. Right click to end and exit the command. So again, to draw a line, L, space bar, left click, right click to stop. If I enter the command again, L, space bar, left click, you can continue drawing line segments as many times as you want to just click the screen. Click, click, click. It draws another line segment. Now I'm going to erase those by entering E for erase, space bar, and I'm going to window these from left to right, and that is that's just a plain window. I've selected them. It says I have 9 entities selected. You'll notice down at the lower left at the command line. I'm going to right click, and that gets rid of my entities. If I enter U for undo, that brings those entities back. Now, There's another way you can draw a window. I'm going to enter the erase command again, and this time I'm going to go from right to left. This is called a crossing window. You notice as I drag my window, this time it is dashed. The extents of that window are dashed. If I drag it right, it's solid. The dash means that it's a crossing window, and whatever entities that window crosses, it will affect regardless of whether they're fully encompassed or not. So that's the difference between going left and going right. If you go right, you have to make sure that you fully encompass all the entities you want to act on. If you go left, you can just cross them and it will select them and erase them, or apply whatever command you have in effect at the time. Again, let's draw a line. Click, left click, right click to enter. Now if I right click again or hit enter or spacebar, it will repeat my last command. So I do that quite a bit. I want to draw another line, just right click. It repeats the last command that you just did. Right click to enter. E for erase. Now we're going to draw a polyline next. That's PL for polyline. Left click, left click, left click, left click, left click. Just like that, I drew the line segments. But this time, if I exit the command and I highlight this entity, you can see it's all one entity. That is the difference between drawing line segments and drawing a polyline. PL again for polyline. I'm going to left click for a line segment. Pay attention to your command line. You'll notice there are some options down there. If I just pick a direction and enter D for distance and enter any random distance, I'll enter 100 feet, it will draw another line segment in the direction, well, it should have, angle of segment it wants now. So I can just click any direction and it will draw a line segment 100 feet long in whatever direction I click. If I enter A for arc, it will draw an arc tangent from the last line that I drew. So, and then it'll stay in that arc mode and it will draw arcs tangent to one another, as many as you want to draw, like so. I'm going to erase that. You can also draw the polyline. I'll do the same thing, series of arcs. I'll go back to L for line, then you can draw a line. Now if you hit C, it will close your polyline and create a closed figure. This command is helpful for drawing sidewalks and pools and things of irregular shapes. So if I come over here to my drawing, you'll see that we have an ortho photo from our drone, and you can trace things off this photo if it's available in your file. So in this case, I'm going to trace the outline of this snow just to show you how it works. Draw a line segment here, go to an arc, A for arc, and you can just sort of continue and follow the irregular outline of the snow as you like. If you, in the middle of this command, if you don't like the way it's shaping up, we'll just say it goes like this. say you didn't quite get the shape right, you want to redo it, you can hit U for undo in the middle of that command. It will undo the last in order what you just drew. Last few segments. And then you can redo it. Like so. I'm going to erase that. Now, let's go over snaps for a moment. I'm going to draw a line segment. Click, click, right click. What if I want to draw another line and connect to the end point or midpoint of this line? I do that using my snaps. You control your snaps, whether they're on or off, by hitting the F3 key. You can also enter OS at the keyboard, and that gives you your O snap menu, it's called, object snap. And this is the way I like to set up my object snaps. On the left-hand column, I've got endpoint selected in the middle, center, midpoint, and node. On the right-hand side, intersection and apparent intersection. That's how I keep them set up. You can clear them all, you can reselect them, or you can select any snaps you like. And I'll demonstrate how that works. So I want to draw a line, L for enter. If I just toggle F3 off and you don't have snaps selected, you can enter, click your middle mouse button where the wheel is, use the button function. It pulls up an O snap menu. I can click nearest and it will select wherever I've got my cursor, the nearest point to it. If I do it again and click endpoint snap, it will snap to the endpoint of that line. If I do it again, middle mouse wheel, select midpoint, it will select the midpoint of that entity. Let's see what else we have. Draw another line, middle click. I can't snap to the center of a line, but I can snap perpendicular to that line. And it'll make it 90 degrees. I can draw another line over here, and I can go parallel to an existing line. Just highlight the line until the parallel little icon pops up, and then come over here well, it's not working very well right now. Let's see. Okay, it works with this line. It doesn't like that line. Sometimes the program is buggy. It doesn't want to do what you want it to do. That's just the nature of the beast. So you can see that it's drawing a construction line here, and you can follow that line anywhere along it and draw a line parallel to the line I selected. So let me just erase all this. Try it again. Draw a line parallel to that line. I'm going to click, call up my O snap menu by clicking the middle wheel and select parallel, and then select over here, and it will draw the line parallel. I can drag along there. What else? I can draw to a node, which is these point entities over here. They are called nodes. This little symbol here is called a node. If I have that selected, I can hover over the description and it will snap to the node of that point. Again, node will snap to the node. Now you want to hover over the description specifically, not over, unless you've got node selected. But if you've got multiple snaps enabled, you just erase these and hit my F3 key, enable all snaps. Now if I want to draw to the node, I can hover here and it will snap to the node as long as I hover over the description. But if I attempt to hover over here, it gets confused because there are multiple options selected. So it might click to a midpoint or a center of the circle, which is fine in this case, but oftentimes it will want to select the end point of this figure. You don't want it to do that, or the intersection even right here. You don't want it to do that. You want it to always snap to the node. The way to ensure that is to hover over the description and not in the area of the node itself, so the program doesn't get confused. So let's draw a couple of other things. A circle, for instance. C is for circle. It is expecting a center of the circle. If you look down here on the command line, you've got multiple options for drawing a circle, but the default is always surrounded by these caret figures. It gives you the default option right there that I just highlighted. So it's expecting you to click a center point of the circle in the screen. Then you can just drag and make the radius any random distance you want. Also, if you like, you can click. Instead of dragging, you can enter a distance. Now it shows me the last random distance that I picked, but I can enter any number I want. I can enter a 10 for a 10-foot circle, 10-foot radius circle. It'd be 20 feet in diameter that I just drew there. I'm going to draw another circle and simply highlight it. And you notice you've got these orange looking squares that pop up. These are called grips. If you highlight any entity, I can draw another polyline, put some arcs on it, draw another line segment, and then if I left click on it, it highlights that entity. Left click on that one, it's highlighted multiple entities. So I can then grab one of these grips and drag that entity around as I like. I can drag one of the rectangular looking ones and it will change the radius of an arc. It will move an entire line segment around instead of the endpoints. Clicking over here on the circle, if I select the center of it, it'll move the whole circle. If I select a quadrant, it will enable you to change the radius of that circle. So that's how grips work. Normally, if you have two intersecting lines, intersecting entities, as long as you select both of those, select one grip, it will allow you to move both entities at once at their intersection. Let's draw a rectangle. REC is the command for rectangle. Click, and I can just select any random point and I've got a rectangle. That was 2 left clicks. That's all it was. But this is now one entity to itself. Now you notice the grips have changed a little bit. If I drag these arrows, it will keep the shape of the rectangle. It will lock it in and allow you to change a side. Same thing on the corners. It'll keep the integrity, the right angles of that rectangle, but allow you to resize it. Now let's say that I had a line here at a random angle. I'm going to draw another rectangle. What if I want this rectangle to be perpendicular and parallel to this line? I can then use the rotation option down here in my command line. Always pay attention to the options that you have that are available when you're drawing an entity. It gives you several down here. One of them is rotation, so I'm going to enter R in the middle of this command. I'm going to then click the middle mouse wheel, perpendicular snap, select the line, left click, and now as I'm in the command, it allows me to draw perpendicular and parallel to the existing line. I can use a nearest snap and snap to this line, and then I've got a rectangle drawn on top of the line, and there are two entities now overlapping one another. If I hit E for erase, use my crossing window, select it, you notice it says down here at the bottom that I've got two entities selected. If I right click, they're gone. Another command would be to draw another shape would be a polygon. That's PG for polygon is the shortcut. You can select a number of sides. I'll select 8 for an octagon. It allows you to draw it either from the center or the edge. I'm going to keep the default. Circumscribed or inscribed, I don't care. I'm going to right click and keep the default, and then there you have it. There's an octagon. You can also resize this thing the same way as the circle. If I select just a node, it will deform the octagon like so. Going to erase that. Let's look at arcs. If I enter A for arc, it is asking for the start of the arc, so I'm just going to click a random point in space. Now you need 3 points to define an arc, so it's expecting 2 more points. So I can select anywhere I want, click, click, it's drawn an arc. If I right click to repeat that command, and when it asks me for the start of the arc, if I right click again, it assumes it's going to be from the end of the previously drawn entity. So right click, and I can drag it. It has drawn it tangent to the previous arc automatically. If I right click again, right click twice. Now this time it demonstrates a bug in the program. It should not have done that. It should be drawing the arc tangent to the last arc in the opposite direction, but this is a bug that is in this program. Hopefully one day they'll fix that, but it should look something like this if it were functioning properly. Now, I've used the word tangent a few times. What does it mean to draw one arc tangent to another arc? It means that if you draw a line from the center point, I'm using the center snap to get to the center of the arc, of one arc to the center point of another arc at the point of tangency where they intersect, they will intersect that line. If they were not tangent arcs, if I grab this grip and I move it, should have grabbed those both at once. It's not doing it like it should, but if I just move it, you can see that they're no longer tangent. They have to intersect through the radius point, from radius point to radius point along that line, and that's what makes them tangent. Let's look at the offset command. I'm going to draw a line. Now, if I want to offset this line and duplicate it, and draw another line parallel at a particular distance offset to the line, I'm going to enter O for offset, and I can either give a distance, which I'll do here. I'll just enter 10 for 10 feet. That is, our working units are always in feet in surveying. Feet and decimal feet is what we're looking at. So it asks me to select the entity I want to offset. I'm going to left click it. Now it asks me which side to offset to, or I can even select both sides. So I'm going to click on one side or the other to offset this line this way. Okay, I can right click to end, right click to repeat the command. It accepts my, still has my 10 feet default distance in there. I can right click again, select the entity again, offset it again. I can keep offsetting it. And that's helpful for drawing things like steps. So there are a few things that you can do. Let me go over snaps one more time. I'm going to draw an arc. If I draw a line over here at any random place, select my snaps by clicking the middle wheel, I can draw this line tangent using the tangent snap to this arc. It just made the line tangent to the arc automatically. Now, what does it mean that it's tangent to the line? It means that the radius point of this circle is at 90 degrees to the end point of that line. If I select my center snap, snap to the center of this circle, and then select perpendicular, snap perpendicular to this line, it draws two lines now at 90 degrees. This line passes through the radius of the circle. That's what it means to have a line that is tangent to a circle. I can trim this piece right here by using the trim command. That's TR, enter. It asks for a cutting edge, which I'm going to use this for my cutting edge, this line. And then once I've got that selected, I'm going to right click. Then it asks for the object to trim. I'm going to select that object by left clicking on it. There, so it trimmed the line. You can use two entities to trim or multiple entities to trim. So I just drew a series of line segments. I'm going to enter TR for trim, and I can select all these at one time. You can see down at the bottom it says 4 entities selected. Right click. Now it will use all these lines as cutting objects. So if I select any of these segments, it will use the other entities to trim by. So anything I select, wherever the intersections in between there, it will trim. So here, 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 or wherever I like. So that gives a little beginning food for thought. We're going to end it here for today and pick it up next time.